Probably the two most hotly contested champions coming out of group stage.
Yeah, the only one I'd have to throw in there would be Zyra as well because she gets picked so much, but this is very much, I almost want to call it the things we've seen at Worlds so far as opposed to not the things we were seeing all the time in China. When these two teams were battling up against each other, we saw a lot more Fizz, some Gragas, some Orianna and stuff, and obviously the Orianna, Zed, and Fizz have all been banned, so I guess, yeah, the Ahri is going to be left so far for OMG, but we look at RYL's picks, and those are very much Royal Chinese metagame picks, whereas the picks right now for OMG are very much what they've been playing so far at the World Championships.
And that support Annie going to be coming in from this one. We mentioned earlier on, Tabe loves to play that Annie. Actually plays Cassiopeia support as well, or has done over in LPL. So he's a little bit funky in terms of his picks. Let's have a look then back over towards OMG. We talked about Zyra and how popular she's been, quite frankly, here through Worlds.
And it's strange because Zyra is both weak and strong to different things. Zyra's weak against assassins, which we've seen a ton of. But Zyra is extremely strong at counter-initiating and stopping dives, which we've seen a bunch of as well. So if somehow a team can pick Zyra and not get killed by the assassin, it's an amazing pick. But, you know, there's some pretty good Ahris in this tournament.
Couple we've seen so far. Pretty decent. So it's going to be Elise picked up here for LoveLin in the jungle. Someone who Kobe mentioned, yourself mentioned earlier, he's been incredibly good for OMG so far.
LoveLin's Lee Sin will be very exciting to watch, assuming we don't see a total curveball and see Gogoing going with it in the top lane. Probably not.
See what he did there.
I didn't mean to. I never mean to do these things. But anyway, looking back at RYL, Uzi getting to pick Caitlyn is one of his bread and butter champions. There's actually a clip online of him pulling off an amazing kite with Blade of the Ruin King Caitlyn, which is something you almost never see. But I know a lot of the really popular AD carries are the best carries here at the World Championships and value mobility so highly. So I actually think that Uzi might do something like that again, and he's going to be laning with the Annie, most likely in the mid lane, because that's where RYL likes to go with it.
Yeah, and the Vladimir actually picked up for this one, added in. What's your thoughts on that one, Jack?
So, because specifically they like running Annie in the mid lane, they pick two strong side laners, meaning Renekton and Vladimir can both go top and bottom once they get into this game. I think that's why they go for it. I wonder if it's going to burn them not having enough crowd control overall, but that's definitely their plan.
So a Jax going to come out here for Gogoing by the looks of it. I actually did play Jax in the third and final game of the qualifier final where RYL Club actually took down OMG in a clean sweep there. So he's already got some history with that Jax in this matchup. We'll see if it's better for him today.
Well, we've seen one Jax so far. I believe it was Impact who just went crazy with it late into one game. And I was expecting a lot more Jax before the World Championships. With the Trinity Force buffs and how strong it's been bringing Corki back into the game, it seems like a natural progression for Jax here. This is going to be an interesting one, Joe, because OMG has tons of mobility like we've always seen. At least 4 people who can hop over wall to get those Fog of War assassinations we've been so used to seeing here at the World Championships. And then RYL, they have that mid lane Annie that we've been waiting to see. It usually gets banned away, and they get to pull off their strategy here. Most likely, we're seeing that Caitlyn Annie in the mid lane and a split push attack from RYL. GoDlike is a crazy split pusher. It's all he likes to do. And
it's really hard to call this game because of the fact that, you know, RYL Club have generally lost out to OMG, except that qualifier final, which was a bit of an anomaly on the results. And very interested to see how, you know, the group stages affected OMG and what RYL Club's preparation has really got for us in this game. But, guys, since they've picked their champions, it's time to see who you guys picked to win this regional rematch. And according to lolesports.com, 63% of you believe it's going to be OMG taking on Fnatic in that semi-final game. All the analysts went for OMG as well.
Yeah, well, they're going with what they've seen so far because RYL is a fairly large unknown for most coming into this. And one thing I will say that is known about these teams is the aggression that they display, I think, is going to catch a lot of us off guard. I'm wondering how much analyzing I'm going to get to do during this game because they're going to be fighting again and again and again. In one of the matches I saw against them, RYL had 5 kills before the 3-minute mark. Yeah. That was one of the games with their Aatrox jungle, but they definitely are the type of team that just dives absolutely at any opportunity, sometimes to a fault. OMG is more objective focused and generally does better when they're grouped as 5. RYL is, of the two, crazy enough to think, the chaotic ones.
Well, we are going to get into this one and see exactly what the game's got for us. So, match number 1 between RYL Club and OMG. This game, a best of 3 for a place in the semi-finals to take on Fnatic.
Yeah, and this means after this set, we will have 4 teams left in the World Championships. We're definitely going to have one Chinese team. I guess there's a solace in that of getting matched up against each other in the quarterfinals. They will move on, of course, to play Fnatic, but they can't be looking ahead to that game. They're completely focused on each other, and I really just can't wait to see how these 2 Chinese teams almost transported to a new playing environment, whether it affects them at all.
Well, up until now, we've seen nothing crazy, but we're only 1 minute in. There's still time.
All right, there's still time for the
down.
craziness to happen. They're definitely thinking about it because RYL, knowing they have Annie, Tabe always starts, charges up his Incinerate, stun on Annie. That's why he's low on mana right now, because he's been charging up his passive to get those stacks. And they can go wherever they want. They can get group stuns if they catch OMG in the right spot, which is why it's actually a little bit scary for OMG to be walking in the way they are. That's actually why Lee Sin was ahead of the pack, because he could theoretically eat a stun and then safeguard back, even though he's already skilled up Sonic Wave, so he couldn't have done that.
Close enough. But they did get in there. They actually walked over the top of the ward there, so RYL know that OMG came onto that blue buff side of the map, and it looks like they may be trying for something similar here on the other side. That's also warded up by OMG, though.
Yeah, OMG's going to see this, and I wonder if they're going to collapse back. They actually haven't committed to any lanes yet. Now Zyra and Corki are going up top. LoveLin might try and steal this away. Whoever gets this buff steal is going to put significantly far ahead in the early game.
Oh, Tabe going around the corner there. He's going to get stunned up by Counter-Strike, but we can see that Lucky has been able to take that blue buff away. We could probably expect pressure now coming down onto RYL's blue, surely.
Yeah, I'd actually expect a race to that blue buff, and since RYL has their 80 carry support in the bottom lane, it is an uncontestable blue buff as far as RYL is concerned. LoveLin's going to get that. It's actually only going to be about a 15-second delay for LoveLin when all is said and done, and he should be able to recover from this.
Getting a bit of help there from Bigpomelo. He came down from that top lane. So let's talk about the lanes here as the junglers get back on their way, on their paths. It's going to be 2v1 in this top side of things with the Zyra Corki taking on Renekton. Bottom side, a similar thing with Uzi and Tabe on Caitlyn and Annie taking on Gogoing's Jax.
Yeah, and I really want to see if we're going to get the 3v1 dives in this game, but because of the way the junglers started, the dive would at the very least be delayed here. Knowing Gogoing knows that Lucky started as blue, so he'd have to go all the way to red and then all the way back to get him. And also, since LoveLin started at the enemy blue, his gank path would be delayed as well. So we're actually just seeing very standard 2v1 tower pushes and junglers coming to defensively support. It's not that common that we see this in RYL OMG games.
Well, speaking of coming to support, Lucky going up towards his top lane here. And making sure that GoDlike, you see a statistic there at Renekton, 75% of with a win ratio with that one, and has been an incredibly hotly contested pick over in China, that's for sure. LoveLin now coming down to the bottom lane to do, well, to pretty much mirror what Lucky's doing in the top side.
And I think a lot of the importance of Renekton in these matchups, actually, they're going right in.
They're going straight in on towards Tabe. He's going to have to flash, puts down the stun as well. LoveLin flashes in though. He's going to get Tabe very low. Finishes off there. First blood going over. Meanwhile, Wh1t so incredibly low in that mid lane. Manages to survive up for now. Uzi survived in the bottom lane as well, but OMG draw first blood.
That's just RYL not respecting the Jax. Gogoing got early experience from the jungle, was getting experience at his turret, and then all he had to do was charge up his Counter-Strike and go in.
Oh, they're going in for Cool here as well, who does have a flash available. He's going to flash away from the flag and drag there and manages to stay safe, but no flash available for him. He's still level 4 as well. He's going to be a target.
Yeah, like we said, fast ganks all around. We're trying to talk about the bottom lane gank when the mid lane gank happens, but all said and done, OMG absolutely comes out atop that trade because they could combo Jax's stun with Lee Sin's resonating strike and guarantee the kill on Tabe. It's one of the reasons I'm surprised that RYL is doing the 2v1 in the bottom lane. Annie would do better to get back if she's trying to push up mid lane and work on dives and stuns there because the lane is shorter and he would be able to make the retreat. It is very dangerous for them to 1v2 against the Jax Lee Sin because that very thing can happen to them and give them kills.
And the fact is, if you look, where Jax now got himself that Vamp Scepter, Crystalline Flask, plus some potions as well, it's not really that easy to push out of the lane. We'll see how that one all develops. Finally, OMG putting down a bit of damage onto this top tower. Not quite as much as RYL have done in that bottom side, but that first blood coming in there is probably going to make them very, very scared of being pushed that far again.
It's going to absolutely stop the aggression from that RYL lane, unless they continue to disrespect the Jax in that lane. But once he's gotten a whole bunch of levels, they can barely even 1v2 against that Jax. Jax is going to become an absolute monster against that Annie Caitlyn lane.
You can see there, he's freezing up this lane nicely. Doesn't want to be pushing it all the way back and make it a bit easier for Uzi and Tabe to be farming there. And this mid lane being quite explosive already so far. We've seen flashes burnt from Cool, the ghost used by Wh1t earlier on as Lucky. You're going to get caught out a little bit by LoveLin in the jungle. Both at level 4 though. Not too much danger of them really going in for a full-on fight there.
No, especially if the mid laners aren't going to come over and contest. LoveLin getting a little cheeky with those wards, but once again, he has no fear of Vladimir collapsing down to stop him because its threat is so minimal when compared to Cool coming down, who can add an Ahri charm and actually catch him out of position.
Yeah, Wh1t is up at level 6 now though, so well, that Hemo Plague that we should factor in. Meanwhile, Lucky coming down towards this bottom lane, and he's just going to go once again full-on pressure. Lee Sin is waiting on the backside. We'll see if RYL can take the first turret of the game here.
So this is a little bit more of a respectful push because they at least have a third person there, meaning if Gogoing jumps in, they would generally be able to turn it around, and RYL has vision on the other 3 members of OMG. This is them trying to re-siege that turret, knowing that GoDlike's Renekton has held his turret better than Gogoing has overall.
So let's have a look down some of the early CS here. And 280 carries obviously in the 2v1 lanes. Pretty close there. Uzi at the moment just got a little bit of a lead from that one. Mid laners, Vladimir, Wh1t's playing that one up against Cool's Ahri. Also ahead as we are going to see the stun coming down to Gogoing and LoveLin taking a lot of damage there. This could open up that tower finally. Yeah,
they are taking a lot of harass near there, and it does seem like the next wave could do something, as well as maybe more for RYL. As we were talking about earlier, one of the big reasons Renekton is such a contested pick in the Chinese metagame is because the early and mid-game pushes they make. They don't care if Renekton doesn't have great late-game skill, because he can do this.
Here we go, gonna go in there. The Counter-Strike actually going to stun at one, but it's Gogoing. He's not gonna escape this one. Getting stunned in there. The turret went down. They picked up the kill, and GoDlike moving down through the map there, undetected as they dive onto that bottom lane.
Yeah, he was... See, that is earlier than you would normally see a Renekton roam, and you're thinking, why would a Renekton leave his turret against a Corki and Azar? Is just going to die. RYL doesn't care because this is effectively an exchange of turret and kill and dragon for just a turret, and they're willing to make that exchange.
And the blue buff as well is Cool here, going to go in towards Wh1t. The Ignite already ticking there. Is a charge in there. Wh1t saved his pull till the very last second, didn't have to burn his flash, but either way, Cool's removed any kind of threat now from that mid lane as OMG take the dragon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, it's RYL.
Now is where's OMG going to go from here? They just burned their Ahri ultimate in mid lane. Corki and Zyra have pushed down their turret, but there is no dragon to get for Cool's advantage over Wh1t's. I mean, so far in that middle lane, Vladimir, who is a pretty good laner early on, but I don't think quite Ahri level, has done enough work to outfarm Cool. I think that was in part because of Lucky's early gank, but it still should be noted that Wh1t's is trying to farm up only so he can become a split push threat. He's going for that, what looks like Spirit of the Spectral Wraith split push build, because his summoner spells absolutely show he's doing that, knowing he brought Flash and Ghost on Vladimir.
So, where are we going to see this one develop? The duos have now gone into that mid lane, as we may have thought maybe came in a little bit earlier on. We'll see Ahri and Vladimir facing off once again on this top side of the map, and we'll see how Wh1t's does now that he's built up a lot. There's a Hemo play going down. We can see how much damage is coming in, but there is LoveLin. He doesn't have that pull. Look at the damage though. Cool going so low, but he's managed to walk away from it. Wh1t gets kicked back and executed by LoveLin.
Nearly enough burst for Wh1t's, but at the end of the day, it was an overcommit, using his pool aggressively to try to finish off Cool, and LoveLin, like a wizard, is always there at the right spot.
Now Jarvan coming back to this mid lane. See if they're actually able to put that pressure back down. Going to be harder against the Corki, and more importantly probably that Zyra as well, who can catch you off guard in just the split second. There is LoveLin getting himself a nice bit of farming experience and pushing out that top lane as well. He's now 2-0-0 with his Lee Sin.
And we'll see if he can start taking over the game. I remember his Moby Bear from the group stage. They got a couple of early kills and then absolutely stomped all over the game. Lee Sin could do something similar. You can see with that extremely early Sightstone, he's going to try and shut down RYL's roam, because RYL loves to roam early on, and that is typically how they beat OMG. We already saw GoDlike roam all the way from the top lane to the bottom lane to create RYL's first bit of advantage, which is why they're still sitting on the 400 gold lead. And of course, LoveLin counters that with an early Sightstone. It gives OMG 2 Sightstones overall on the map and should work to control it for them.
That is that blue buff. Giving over actually to Uzi there for that mid lane.
It makes enough sense in this composition because they have the Renekton and the Vladimir, who are typically 2 side laners. The blue buff isn't beneficial or that beneficial to any of them, whereas Caitlyn can definitely run into some mana problems if she's using all of her spells on recharge, which Uzi's going to do now since Tabe and Caitlyn have transitioned to this mid lane for an extended siege.
And between the two AD carries, CS is very, very even at this point. We can see that Bloodthirsts are almost done for Uzi. Oh, Cool might be in trouble from this one. He's going to be baited in here by Wh1t. There goes Jarvan out of the brush, and there is the Cataclysm. But Cool still got a charm left. Got a charge left on his Spirit Rush to get out of there. Brilliantly avoided by Cool.
Right there, RYL was underestimating their damage. They knew that Cool was going to pop his ultimate to escape, and they tried to burst him down anyway. Lucky no longer has Cataclysm, but it does give them a bit of a turret edge right here if they can take this.
Sure to be able to finish this one off. See the minions actually going down pretty quickly, and they might have to wait until that next wave does come available to them. Meanwhile, RYL stacking themselves up here in this mid lane as GoDlike going to get caught out, but will they go diving in onto him? No, they won't. Lee Sin waiting off to the side, but LoveLin decides against it.
And this is very interesting. OMG is sacrificing turret pressure for farm on Jax. Gogoing has been freezing the bottom lane for the past minute or so, while RYL is mercilessly pushing this middle lane. They're about to dive as 5, and Jax is nowhere to be found here.
Oh, Bigpomelo actually going to throw down the Stranglethorns from this one, and we see them go a little bit low, but Wh1t's coming in from the backside. Ace in the hole comes through. Uzi picking up a snipe there onto Bigpomelo, but now Wh1t's caught out of position. There's a counter-strike, not going to get the stun as Wh1t
nice
but
shot.
LoveLin dives straight in there. He'll get back out towards the Warden. This is a difficult decision. Very, very low health bars across the board. Gogoing goes low. He flashes back to safety. Now the focus is Lucky as they dive in on towards San. He's lower than half HP. GoDlike flashes over towards him as well. He's going to try and chase down San here.
Fast enough?
Not got much health remaining, and he will be able to pick up the kill. Meanwhile, in middle, the rest of them kind of just had a ceasefire, broke up that fight, but a crazy one.
Crazy to think there were only 2 deaths there, but of course they went to RYL because they had the advantage. They got the initiation onto Bigpomelo, and then it was all about chasing. LoveLin actually did a spectacular job landing his Q right as Wh1t came out of his pool of blood, but then the rest of this chase was just teams collapsing on each other. Flashes were saved to the last instant to get away from this fight, and then Ignites just weren't quite taking people down. GoDlike arriving right at the end, and because specifically GoDlike had upgraded to Ninja Tabe earlier on in the game and San had not, is why GoDlike could chase him down here for the kill.
Brilliantly done from RYL, like gives them that advantage in the kills and the gold. Now they're putting down pressure onto this middle turret once again. Wh1t's just sidestepping that charm. He needs to be careful though. Grasping Roots have grabbed him. He has to pull up. That turret is still alive there. RYL not able to finish it off with that last push.
Yeah, and up on the bottom of the screen, Bigpomelo died once again. That was a little strange. He was just off on the side trying to ward. Jarvan caught him and they just bursted all their spells down on him. I really feel like OMG trying to freeze a lane for Gogoing is absolutely hurting them in the interim. They're definitely going for a late game Jax strategy because they recognize that GoDlike is much stronger on his Renekton at this point in the game. It's actually very counterintuitive to their regular playstyles, knowing that these games are usually decided by 30 minutes on average.
Well, Dragon is now up and available. RYL have started it off. He's very, very low. They're going to smite it down. LoveLin has to flash away from that one. Meanwhile, GoDlike at the front. He's falling low. Emo play going to go down. There's the first kill of the fight as Cool will pick off GoDlike. Wh1t gets in there. Kicked straight back out by Lee Sin, but look at the damage from the side. Here comes Gogoing. There's another kill. It's a double coming down for Cool. It's not over yet either as LoveLin picks one up. But look at Uzi at the back. He's still doing work. There's the triple for Cool, and now they're going to try and chase down the AD carry onto a trap. That was a little unlucky from LoveLin, and Uzi should be able to walk off from this one. Gets himself a bit of farm on the way out. Classy.
That was still an absolutely insane turn by OMG. They get a 4-kill fight, even if RYL got the Dragon. That was actually a power play attempt by RYL to get that Dragon, but OMG just collapsed in and had a brilliant team fight. Maybe they get this turret afterwards.
Well, it's gone very low. Only Uzi is there to hold this one off. Minions start to stream their way into that mid lane, but I think they've bided enough time here with those minions going down. Have RYL for that to be safe.
Yeah, so the fact that Ahri got 3 kills in that exchange means Cool is an absolute monster coming in. We have to see this fight again and figure out just how it happened. Tabe's stun got burned on LoveLin as he was escaping, which meant they didn't necessarily have it for the fight. And even though RYL landed a 4-man Hemo Plague, Uzi could never get in position to fight this one properly, and GoDlike did not get off his Renekton ultimate because he died so early on. That is so core to RYL's mid-game team fighting strategy, is to have a Renekton in the fight for an extended period of time. Once he was gone, all OMG had to do was finish off Lucky, and they could just chase down the rest of the team.
So 6-4 in kills. Still, RYL Club hold that lead as Cool here. Going on towards GoDlike, gonna use that ultimate, but not quite enough to burst him down. He's got Meat Spirit, the Sunfire Cape finishes. Wh1t3zZ here, gonna have to use that Ghost. Goes into the pool just before that Counter-Strike stuns him up, but they're gonna close in on him. This is bad news for Wh1t3zZ. He still has a flash available though. When's he gonna use it? There is a flash away, and with the rest of RYL coming around, they actually back off.
Both of RYL's solo laners are getting pushed on a little bit. We saw Cool nearly take down GoDlike because GoDlike has no magic resistance, and that's actually going to be a problem considering Cool picked up that triple kill in early DFG. And then Wh1t3zZ was trying to split push against OMG's other solo laner Gogoing and immediately had to just get out of there with his Ghost. That's not good for RYL overall, knowing that they kind of had a bit of a split push strategy planned and that it's already getting countered is a bad thing. Wh1t3zZ is actually transitioning potentially early off of this build. He had a very early Hextech Revolver, and if he was truly a split push Vladimir, he would have built the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith very early on. But the fact that he has not built that yet, and he may be going towards a Zhonya's Hourglass, could just be RYL saying, yeah, we cannot split push anymore. Let's go team fight with this.
Speaking of team fights, yeah, Cool gonna go into this one. Big damage on towards Tabe, who's less than half HP right now. Gogoing's gonna come in from the side. GoDlike trying to tank up the front. Here is Gogoing. Gets the stun onto 2 of them. GoDlike going low. Lee Sin dives to the back. He managed to live from that one, but the rest of the team might not be so lucky. Tabe going low. There is the charm landing onto Uzi. He cleanses out of it straight away, and OMG can't quite find their way in.
Another fight with everyone getting quite low. Bigpomelo and GoDlike nearly died in that one. These teams are good at team fight because they do it very frequently. It's amazing this game is only 6 kills to 4. And honestly, I think one of the big reasons RYL cannot chase on for these kills is they have generally low crowd control in their composition. They don't have a true mid laner right now. Vladimir and Renekton are both kind of side laners as far as team fights are concerned, and they don't have the traditional lockdown or assassination that we're used to seeing here at the World Championships, which is allowing OMG to disengage from a lot of these fights.
Finally, RYL getting bored there. That turret was still up, just deciding to tank it up, and that puts them 3-1 ahead in terms of turret kills at this point. They still hold as well a 2,000 gold lead. Let's have a look down the items once again, because the AD carries have taken their first big step with that Bloodthirster coming for Uzi, and the Trinity Force on the other side for San.
Absolutely. So no surprises with San's build. Trinity Force is the Corki thing. The only bit of a curveball is the Berserker Greaves instead of Sorcerer Shoes, because Corki does more magic damage than physical damage in team fights. But instead he's going for the attack speed itemization. We look at Uzi as well. He's doing a bit of a give or take here. He has not went the full Bloodthirster Last Whisper build. He's got a Zeal sprinkled in there because, again, he is relying on his auto attacks.
Whoa, look at this. Jax diving straight in on towards Uzi. Gonna sidestep the Grasping Roots, but will he be able to get away from it? Going down to half of HP, and he flashes away there. Uzi now in a lot of trouble. Gogoing going to chase him down. He's trying to heal up. There's the net coming out. He's still running, but not for long. There's the jump in. Gogoing gets one. And on the other side, on the tower, LoveLin picked up Tabe as well.
Yeah, and what's RYL going to do about this? Because OMG just completely committed to their bottom lane while the rest of RYL was not there. They have their side laners in strange places right now. Vladimir is in mid lane. Renekton is going top, and Lucky cannot stay there for his buff.
Oh, he's actually going to manage to get away from that one. He's still trying to hold out here for this red buff. It's going very low, but red is going to be picked up there. Meanwhile, Lucky down, getting caught out from the backside. Cool comes around, catches him off guard. That will be another one for OMG. Meanwhile, the most satisfying sound in the game is that Jack's hammering away on the inner turret in the bottom lane.
Wh1t3zZ isn't happy about that either. He completely commits once again to OMG, and let's see if he can chase this time. Vladimir, no crowd control.
Going very low here, Gogoing. Can he get off into the brush in time? Yes, the Zonya's used by Wh1t3zZ as well. LoveLin coming around the side, doesn't go in as he spots GoDlike. Good call.
So before any of this invading happened, OMG had gained control of RYL's red buff and the jungle surrounding it, and RYL was refusing to accept that. That's the reason that they got dove on, that's the reason that they got hurt trying to go in and contest for red, because OMG had complete eyes on them and outnumbered them. RYL couldn't fight in that area, but they did anyway, and it just gave OMG exactly what they wanted.
So, Dragon time for OMG. Are they going to be able to finish this one off? There's no one around there, and that will be a pickup for OMG. Nicely taken there as well. 31,500 to 29 right now. Building up that lead very nicely.
And this is where RYL really has to start worrying about the game, because they were actually up 2,000 gold a couple of minutes ago, and OMG was already the one seeming to come out on top in team fights. And now that OMG has actually came out on top significantly in a skirmish, what's going to happen the next time a big team fight happens? And knowing RYL versus OMG, the next team fight is going to happen. It's going to happen fairly shortly as well. Seeing that Cool has his DFG and that GoDlike just has that Negatron cloak, I'm wondering if OMG can just evaporate RYL's tank line before the fight and then roll on through with the rest of their damage. It's very dangerous right now for RYL, and they almost have to be afraid to take a 5v5 fight.
He's slowing down here somewhat for what is guaranteed to be just a little bit of time, as both teams actually fairly close in proximity there on the top side of the river. We'll see if someone ends up getting caught out. We can see Lucky there just dealing with the plants that Bigpomelo has put down, trying to get rid of all those wards there. And now GoDlike and LoveLin having a bit of a chat up here in the top side of the river. LoveLin just trying to bully him out of position there.
Yeah, LoveLin is definitely a very scary man right now. 404 on Lee Sin. It's not because he has damage items, it's because of the vision he provides and his ability to reposition people in team fights. Gogoing as well is going to be a big problem. His Trinity Force is not even completed yet, and he's already destroying anyone on RYL in a 1v1 engagement.
Yeah, they can't stand and fight with him. We saw GoDlike there just walking away from that scenario. There's a ward down in this brush, which RYL all being revealed from. Cool also is pushing down towards this bottom lane. That's going to have to be dealt with. They're going to put the ace in the hole through on towards LoveLin. About a third of his health gone, but not really getting anything from that at all. Yeah,
that did prove, though, that Uzi's hitting pretty hard. We should note that he is the most farm person in this game right now. 225 CS. You wouldn't think that he'd have the most gold, but he does. 8,500. The next closest is Cool at 8,400 on his 4-kill Ahri. So, there it is. The analyst talked about it, protect the puppy. Uzi's nickname is Crazy Puppy over in China, because everyone just wants to cuddle him and try to finish him out. That's not the reason. It's because he yells a lot.
Yeah. A very temperamental player, that's for sure. Which we'll see how that keeps him up here in this best of 3. Right now, both teams pretty much stacked on top of each other in this middle lane. There's the wards going down. One inside the death brush. GoDlike not scared of getting right to the forefront now and just checking, see what's going on from that one. Meanwhile, RYL actually just pushing straight up this mid lane.
Yeah, RYL saw Gogoing trying to create a split push opportunity, and they know that they actually can't deal with that, so they're grouping as 5 and threatening turrets immediately, effectively trying to draw Gogoing towards them. But I wonder if this is one of those situations where RYL is damned if they do, damned if they don't, because they've been losing in team fights and they can't deal with Gogoing. They have to have something break their way here.
Well, look at this for a positional play right now from OMG. They've pushed up this mid lane right to that inner turret. And RYL around the side from this one. There's a block from Bigpomelo Are they going to be able to keep pushing back in there? Nope, RYL have managed to get that control of the mid lane back. OMG back off.
Yeah, that's a pretty painful block. I almost feel like Gogoing should have taken that one, or someone who can lifesteal up a little bit of health, because now Bigpomelo is rather wounded if they were to actually start a team fight, which I think is one of the big reasons they decided to back away and give some of this control of Baron back to RYL.
Oh, LoveLin getting stunned up there. Going to get knocked up as well, but honestly, can't quite finish off that Lee Sin here in the time that you've really got with his ridiculous maneuverability.
Especially with that Sightstone.
Yeah, with the Sightstone coming down. Pretty much makes him uncatchable at that stage. Did see OMG starting to back off a little bit. RYL almost mirroring what OMG did a few moments earlier and pushing up that mid lane.
Yeah, this game is still rather close, but OMG's gold lead is stretching out a little bit. And OMG's very comfortable with where they are at in this game right now, because they know eventually Gogoing is going to reach a point where RYL isn't necessarily able to deal with them. And RYL might get this fight, though, and it's in OMG's turret.
Yeah, he's managed to dive in there. Look how low Tabe's gone. Gets knocked up. Cool now unstoppable as he finishes off that kill. LoveLin goes low. He manages to get back, but the flash in from Uzi will secure them one back. And it's now a 2-for-1 fight. There's Ace in the hole coming through. Gogoing dives to the back line, but he will fall. There's the charm onto Uzi. He's going to cleanse. San going for
Uzi's still alive!
Doesn't get any of them as the Zhonya's used there by White. Crazy turnaround again.
And we talk about Uzi's positioning and his kiting ability right there. He seemed absolutely dead in that game. Even when he took a charm to the face, he still stayed alive. And a fight that seemed to be a disaster for RYL might just turn into a win and a turret, Joe.
That was really strange from San.
Yeah.
The fact that he got Uzi so low and then switched to Whites in that second. He's like, well, I got a Zhonya, so I'm going to get out.
I almost feel like he thought Uzi was dead before that happened. Let's take one more look at this one. Gogoing re-engaged with the flash, and everyone thought they could get Uzi right here. He got the one. He thought that missile was going to finish him. Yeah. He thought the missile. San was thinking one step ahead. That's like taking your eyes off the ball before you catch it. He dropped the pass, and everyone on OMG died for it.
And what could have been, or should have probably been, a double kill for him there.
Yeah.
Turns out to be a death with no kills picked up for him. Either way, good stuff from RYL to stop that happening there. You see that bottom lane being pushed out once again for Gogoing. Now got that Trinity Force finished, and he's going Blade of the Ruin King second.
Yeah, that's a very offensive Jax build, actually. If Uzi can position well enough in these teamfights, knowing that he now has Cleanse and QSS, OMG might have a problem closing down onto him. This is actually becoming one of those RYL games where, yeah, you have to protect Uzi. The Caitlyn is the one thing in this game that could potentially outscale and win RYL the match. GoDlike is going to just have to be a tank that blocks for him. Tabe is effectively going to have to use his Tibbers for the defensive stun. And knowing that Jax is in the bottom lane right now, RYL is just all out this Baron. This would be a 50-50 steal chance against Elise or a 5v4 fight. Jax is pushing the inhibitor in the bottom lane. Something's going to happen soon, Joe.
They're pushing through. There goes the kill. Cool is godlike as he takes down Ahri. Bigpomelo is low. He is actually going to fall as White picks himself up a double. RYL going to keep going on Baron, but they're losing the inhib.
Absolutely nothing is stopping Jax here. At the best, this is inhibitor traded for Baron. Baron is still not down, though.
No, but Lee Sin is. He gets sniped off at the back. There's the chance to steal. Completely gone. RYL going to be recalling here. Well, that turret is already down. The inhib itself is now going to be finished off as well.
Classic question here. Is a Baron worth an inhibitor? Things have changed over time. I've actually seen it go both ways. Since home guard boots have been added to the game, I've seen teams be able to reactively defend their inhibitors with home guards, and RYL needed to make a play in this game. OMG committed to trying to get both. They could have just given up the Baron. Instead, they gave up kills as well for an inhibitor trade. We don't know actually how to call that one. We just got to wait until they keep fighting.
Goes in. The Crocodile was waiting for him around the corner, but Counter-Strike means he's getting out safe. RYL Club going to be picking up a Dragon here as well. So they've lost that inhib. They've picked up the Baron. They're going to get themselves a Dragon. That leaves them ahead now in the game by 1.1 thousand gold.
Yeah, and this is about a 3,500, maybe more gold swing. I'd have to check exactly because they were down quite a bit, and specifically, this gave a whole bunch of more gold to Uzi. He's now almost 12,000 gold on his Caitlyn, which is 1,500 ahead of Cool's Ahri right now. Despite Cool being 7-0, it seems crazy at that, but Cool is not actually getting much gold for killing Tabe at this point because he's already killed him 5 times. That completed the 3rd big item onto Uzi. And the fact that RYL has the Baron buff now effectively means that OMG's engagements are inherently more dangerous, while RYL is just trying to get Uzi to that 6-item AD carry Caitlyn.
So there. Going in the mid lane, just pushing things out and doing the work in terms of getting that inhibitor back for OMG to make sure that Baron, you know, wasn't lost and they didn't get anything in response to that one. Right now, RYL, they're trying to get some vision down of their own on this bottom side of the map. We can see that Wh1t3zZ has actually started to push down there. A lot of pings going on as they spot Elise in. GoDlike actually all up in that jungle, but they've got full vision here, OMG.
Exactly, and the fact that RYL is pushing the lane that has super minions effectively defends the inhibitor for themselves. The thing they have to worry about is the stronger other lane since an inhibitor is down, and those minions destroying RYL's turrets. But they are ready to go in and dive this, and I have to call out Wh1t3zZ's build adaptation, going Deathcap and Zhonya's instead of the split push Vladimir build, and being a massive factor in these team fights as RYL just brute forces their way in as OMG is completely contained within their base. There is flash up on Tabe, and he might go for a Tibbers. This could be an attempted end by RYL.
See if the bear comes out from this one. Right now, RYL just on the steps, and pushing things back completely, and at the same time making sure that their inhib being down is not really a factor in this game at this point. There's the Q coming out of LoveLin. Wise not to follow that one up. The rest of the team, there is a flash Tibbers coming in, not really doing what they would have hoped from it, and RYL back away to the steps. There's the Stranglethorns going down as Wh1t3zZ gets into the base. There's the ace in the hole. Uzi gonna pick that one up. That's already one man down. Can they finish off the tower? Charm landing onto GoDlike. He's at less than half as Gogoing dives into the back. Lee Sin kicks the three of them in, but GoDlike still got enough health to maybe survive this one, and with the rest of his team all there with him, this is bad news.
And they still have the Baron buff on 4 people. Only Cool and San are alive. They're trying to go back to base to get health, but RYL is still pushing in. They've got the Baron, and they're making their play.
They're going to try and win the game right here. 32 minutes in, 2 men left alive. They dive on towards Corki and Ahri. They managed to get GoDlike a little bit lower.
They're back. I thought they're out of minions.
They're there. Minions are there. The charm landing on towards Lucky. Here comes Bigpomelo. They're on to the Nexus. But can they finish the Nexus? Corki goes down. Ahri goes down. Only Zyra left to defend. This is going to be game number 1. Going over to RYL Club.
They were so excited they were falling out of their chairs by the end of that one, and what an insane ending. We knew RYL Club and OMG would fight like crazy. We knew RYL had that window in the game before Renekton got outscaled by Jax. They rushed the Baron. They traded Baron for inhibitor, ran right up the inhibitor lane, went for the flash Tibbers, won the fight. Uzi could not be stopped, and he finished him off.
Crazy ending to that one. We can see OMG wondering a little bit how